What's up, everybody? It's Candy Girl here with my 2 cents on Mo'Nique's call for a boycott against Netflix. Before I get started, thank you to all of my first-time viewers and my new subscribers. Thank you so much for coming by. I hope you enjoy what you see. For all of those people who have not subscribed yet, go ahead and do so. Put your notifications on so you know whenever I'm doing a new video. For all of my people who've been supporting me, thank you so very much. You keep me encouraged, and I really appreciate you. So let's get into the topic at hand. Mo'Nique is a actress slash comedian who said that she was offered much less than other male comedians as well as a white female comedian for a comedy special that was going to be featured on Netflix. She compared herself to people like Dave Chappelle and Amy Schumer. Okay, Dave Chappelle is a big person to be comparing yourself to, and Chris Rock and things like that. But Amy Schumer, I don't really know who she is, and I know who Mo'Nique is, so I could see her being like, don't nobody even know this broad, and you offering her more money than me. Nonetheless, I have conflicting views on this, so I'm really curious about what other people think about the issue. Number one, I don't know what Academy Award is available for comedians, but I don't know of Mo'Nique being a very celebrated comedian. I do know that she was on the Queens of Comedy back in the day. And that was kind of a counterpart to the Kings of Comedy, which featured comedians such as Bernie Mac, Cedric the Entertainer, Steve Harvey, D.L. Hughley. Those are really big names in comedy. The Queens of Comedy, however, unless you're really intimately connected with the black comedy scene, you really wouldn't know these people, like Samore and Adele, I want to say her name is. It was a couple of other people that I was just like, I don't even know who the fuck you are. But nonetheless, you can be a queen if you want to be a queen. We all queens in my ass, okay? So she was also known for her work on The Parkers, which was a daily sitcom. I think that was on like the equivalent of the CW. She also was in a couple of movies, one of them being Precious, where she played a HIV positive mother who took part in the sexual abuse of her daughter. Sexual and physical abuse of her own daughter. Mo'Nique also was in some other movies. I don't know. Nothing that I can really remember that was quite marketable or noteworthy, to be honest with you. Now, she did receive an Academy Award for her work in Precious. Okay. And so I guess what she's using as a basis for her argument and her pay is the fact that people like Amy Schumer and Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle were getting millions on millions of dollars, and she only got like $500,000 or $250,000, something like that. So she's getting paid considerably less. Now, mind you, that Taraji P. Henson also made a similar allegation in that she said that black actors have to kind of pick up the crumbs of what they're offered, and that she would never dare to try to negotiate or contest the offer that they're giving her as far as payment, because she knows they would just drop her and get somebody else to take her place. So she wants the opportunity, so she's going to do what she has to do. Okay. Now, again, I don't know what Academy Award is for comedians, if any, or how do they get recognized. Okay, so what I did was I went on IMDb and I looked at IMDb's top 40 comedians. Dave Chappelle, which Mo'Nique says she should be paid equal to or at least comparable to, was the #1 comedian of all time on IMDb. Okay, take that for what it's worth. But what I did notice, which was very interesting, is that there were no None. No female comedians out of the top 40 except for one. And I hardly remember who she is. I think it was Sarah Silverman or something like that. So something is fishy. You know what I'm saying? Like, why is it that you don't see many black comedians being mentioned in IMDb? It's ironic that Dave Chappelle was number one, because out of all of those people on the list, there were only two blacks. One was fairly far down on the bottom, and I really don't know who he is. And the rest were white males. So popular culture is only recognizing certain people and certain demographics in IMDb. Now, I did go onto the Rolling Stone, which had like the top 50 entertainers of all time. And what I thought was most interesting about Rolling Stone is that they reached far back. So they had people anywhere from Joan Rivers to Bill Cosby to Robin Williams. They had Red Fox on there. They had Phyllis Diller, Bernie Mac, Moms Mabley, Roseanne Barr, people that we remember from decades ago. So they're talking about of all time. Maybe IMDb is only talking about the relevant comedians, whereas IMDb is recognizing the whole body of work in the entire industry of comedy. So I hold that to be more credible. Wanda Sykes was number 50, so she was the lowest ranking one of the top 50. Amy Schumer was number 43. Dave Chappelle was number 9. Chris Rock was number 5. And Richard Pryor was number 1. Nowhere on that list did I see Mo'Nique. I mention that because I think Mo'Nique has a lot of nerve to think that she should be comparable to any of the comedians that I just mentioned before. And quite frankly, she shouldn't really be comparing herself to people like Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock. They seem to be booked for more gigs. They're more visible in popular culture. The last thing that I heard about Mo'Nique was that she had a radio show that she co-hosts with her husband. They talk a lot of smack about people like Oprah Winfrey, things like that. And Oprah Winfrey, Lee Daniels, I want to say a couple other really big name people that actually have a lot of clout. I even think that she mentioned something about Tyler Perry. The reason why I bring that up is because when you get up and you start running your mouth, I don't care what you're talking about, be ready for people to retaliate against you. Never mention what another person is getting offered. Never talk about how people are selling out, because you never know when you need that person to sell out for you. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that she even mentions Oprah Winfrey in any derogatory manner makes me think that she wanted her career to die quickly. And that's exactly what she did. She's lucky that Netflix even invited her on that special. Because truth be told, I don't feel like she's a relevant comedian. I also think that she has a lot of nerve demanding a comparable pay to these other comedians. Because truth be told, her and Taraji, and she's not even a comedian, but she is an entertainer. She is in the big and little screen, just like Mo'Nique is. And it's unfortunate because, much to Taraji's point, they have to kind of like pick up whatever crumbs they can get to get a job. But in the end of the day, you sold your soul to gain the world. Because if you look at the types of roles that Mo'Nique and Taraji are getting and signing up for and agreeing to do to their own detriment, is a ghetto black woman. Okay. Now Taraji did do Hidden Figures. So in her defense, she has had roles that celebrated classy black women. But overwhelmingly, her book of business has always been a ghetto black woman. And when you typecast yourself into that type of role, you can't expect to be paid too much because there's only a certain market for the black ghetto queen or black ghetto girl. Only so many people want to see that. Only so many people want to pay to see that. Because mind you, in the world of the Fire Stick and Netflix and YouTube, it doesn't cost much for us to see what you're performing in. So only so many people want to pay good money to see a black ghetto girl, because usually black ghetto girls are supported by people who like black ghetto girls, which more than likely would be people who can identify with them in some way, shape, or form. So it's usually people of color. And I'm sorry to say, but people of color love some bootlegs, okay? I don't know many whites that will get Schindler's List on bootleg, or the 9/11 tribute sorts of movies on bootleg. I mostly see the African American community wanting to get shit on the low, and usually what they're interested in are roles and movies that they can identify with, which are the movies and roles that people like Mo'Nique star in. So don't expect for these people to pay too much to have you featured in something that they know they won't make as much with, because their target audience just has different preferences and behaviors, to put it lightly. At the same time, I do recognize the fact that black entertainers are usually only offered certain roles, and if they want to stay economically viable as an entertainer, they have to take what they can get. But in the end of the day, if you want to maintain some kind of dignity and self-respect, and to be respected in the industry and offered really serious roles that may gross more money and give you a bigger paycheck, you got to make sure that your reputation and the types of roles that you're kind of typecasting yourself into demand that sort of respect. And I don't see that here. So without belaboring the issue, my main point is that I do see that there are not a lot of blacks who are being celebrated in the big and little screen and in comedy. I do recognize that. But at the same time, you're only going to get recognized if you make people good money. And I don't think that the type of roles that Taraji and Mo'Nique are really going for, and that they actually accept and they perform well in, are things that are highly grossing movies. So I guess what my 2 cents would be is to start taking yourself a little bit more seriously. Maybe you shouldn't have your husband that you call daddy all the time as your manager. I don't think that he's advocating for you very well. And I would imagine, based off of what I've seen on the radio show, she strokes her husband's ego a whole lot. She calls him daddy. She agrees with whatever he says. And sometimes what he says are things that typically women would not agree with. I'm not going to get into the specifics of things, but I do think that she goes along with a lot of things that he says strictly because he's her husband and she wants to appease him. So don't let that person negotiate your contracts, because obviously he's doing a horrible job and you're really not calling him out on it because you're blaming the people who have the money. But I promise you that the roles that Brad Pitt plays are not the same roles that you'll be playing. And it's simply because I believe that if you don't think that a role is becoming of you and the reputation that you want to set, you take your talents elsewhere. And I'm pretty sure that the Brad Pitts, Leonardo DiCaprios, the Amy Schumers, Dave Chappelle's, Chris Rock, hell, let's even go back to Moms Mabley and Red Fox. Those people knew, hey, I'm going for a certain thing here. I ain't interested in what you got to offer, so I'm going to take my talents elsewhere. I'd recommend that she do the same, because I promise you this much. While I do sympathize for you, I ain't canceling my Netflix, because cable TV is too much money, and Netflix is coming out with a whole lot of Netflix originals, and I ain't trying to miss them for you and your ghetto roles, okay? Just not doing it. So, y'all tell me what y'all think in the comments. Until next time, you all love and blessings.